Will raising the minimum wage lift millions of Americans out of poverty, or will it cause small businesses to shutter their doors? Today on the CRUZ line. Hello and welcome to the CRUZ line, brought to you by Tour Productions. I'm your host, Erica Cruz.
And I'm Jason Nichols.
Today we will discuss one of the most contentious economic topics in the United States, the minimum wage. But first, if you enjoy our unbiased content, please like and subscribe below so that we can continue to provide you with well-researched information, void of political spin.
New Zealand became the first nation to institute a minimum wage in 1894 with the passage of the Industrial Conciliation and Arbitration Act. 18 years later, Massachusetts became the first state to pass a minimum wage law. Other states soon followed suit. However, the minimum wage in the U.S. ran into a roadblock in 1923. The United States Supreme Court determined in Atkins versus Children's Hospital of D.C. that a minimum wage violated the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. The decision invalidated state minimum wage requirements and instead limited them to offering employers suggestions on how to pay laborers. However, in 1933, the minimum wage made a comeback, with the country in the throes of the Great Depression. FDR created the National Recovery Administration, which established a minimum wage, but it didn't apply to agricultural or domestic workers, which left many African Americans behind.
In 1937, the Supreme Court backed the minimum wage for the first time in West Coast Hotel Company v. Parrish. The courts narrowly decided that the minimum wage was in fact constitutional. Roosevelt again got Congress to pass a 25-cent minimum wage as part of the Fair Labor Standards Act. Congress increased the minimum wage for the first time in 1949 and amended the Fair Labor Standards Act in 1961, although it allowed for retail companies to pay full-time students 15% below the minimum. In 1963, the Equal Pay Act again amended the Fair Labor Standards Act to ensure that minimum wage earning women and men were entitled to the same pay for the same work.
Today, the minimum wage is still a major debate, thanks to advocates like Senator Bernie Sanders, who believes the current federal minimum wage of $7.50 is unacceptable because it's nowhere near a living wage. Senator Sanders and other progressives argued that the minimum wage was $1.60 in 1968, which is the equivalent of $11.53 today. In other words, the minimum wage has actually decreased over the past 5 decades, not increased. If the minimum wage had risen at the same level as American productivity, today it would stand at $19.33. Mega corporations and executive pay have risen to unfathomable levels, but the minimum wage has remained paltry. This has led to the call for a $15 minimum wage.
Several major cities already have a minimum wage above $15, including New York City, Seattle, San Francisco, San Jose, and Washington, D.C. There is a belief that an increase in the minimum wage would hurt small businesses and cause them to shed workers. The minimum wage in Seattle produced mixed results. While there weren't massive job losses, workers were given fewer hours.
Some economists believe a $15 minimum wage by 2025 could cost our economy 1.3 million jobs. Still, it is believed it could raise pay for at least 27 million workers, inject billions into the economy, and lift 1.3 million people out of poverty.
That's all for us here on the CRUZ line. Like and comment below if this video was helpful. Be on the lookout for more content from us and other soon-to-launch shows on Tour Productions. Stay safe and wear your mask.